What's up, Pats Nation? We're back, episode 3, Pat's Tailgate Party Podcast. My name's Michael Lakis, joined by my pops, Doug Lakis. Doug, how you doing today?
Hi, Mike. Everything's good. Looking forward to it.
We're missing part of the three-legged stool here, by the way. We're missing my brother, your eldest, Andrew. He couldn't, he had some stuff that came up today. We gave him a hard time, man. We said, come on, man, it's Brady week. It's Tom Gronk-ageddon. You can't be here, but you know, I think he's sad he's not here, but we're happy to be here. And today we're talking, as always, all things New England Patriots, right? Place for the fans to come for a fan's perspective to, talk about their beloved New England Patriots. So beloved's a choice word right now based on what we saw last week.
Well, if you're a true fan, you're beloved. That's about, especially after watching last Sunday, but I don't know that we need to spend a ton of time on last Sunday.
We'll spend a little time there.
In the coaching profession, you say you want to burn last week's film.
Oh man, we'll spend a little bit of time there because we got to talk about what happened, what transpired. Burn is a good word. Hot garbage is another word. Two words that come to mind. I mean, that was just. That was a comedy of errors is probably the best way to put it. What we saw last week. If you didn't see it, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably did, or watching, you probably did. But Saints come into Foxborough, win 28-13. Frankly, probably, if you watch the game, the score probably not actually indicative of what happened on the field. It felt like it was 48-13 by the time that it was done. So listen. I mean, I think the keys, there was a couple good things that happened. Kendrick Bourne kind of showed out a little bit, had a nice touchdown. Mac got, literally when they spread the ball out, and I hope they do that this week. We'll talk about, obviously, the game coming up this week shortly. But, Mac made some good decisions when they spread out. He threw 51 times. I don't know if I saw that coming where he's going to have to throw 51 times in his third NFL game. But Dad, what were some takeaways you had just initially watching the game?
My biggest takeaway, and again, I thought this as the game was going on, was the how poorly coached the Patriots looked. And I when was the last time you could say that over the last 20 years? Now, there have been games they haven't showed up for, but this was from top to bottom. They were poorly coached. I mean, not out coached. I'm not because I don't think the Saints came in with a great plan. I mean, they did basically. I mean, they ran the ball and threw it when they had to. So
sure.
But the Patriots. I mean, they made special teams mistakes. They had way more penalties than they normally have. Defensively, they made some mistakes, although I thought defensively they were better.
Yeah.
Barring the last drive of the game, which is huge. But
that's two times in 3 games. 2 times in 3 games when the defense needed to get off the field, they failed to do so.
Correct. And offensively, right now they're a dumpster fire. I mean,
they're bad.
And if you're going to have your rookie quarterback throw 51 times, that's not going to bode well at the end of the day.
No.
So, and I don't know where they went from having a packed running back room to it's pretty sparse right now. Well, I don't know what they're going to do.
So alluding there to the James White injury came on. I don't know if it was the first down they got all day early in the game, but it was definitely a converted third down on a kind of a zone sweep out of the shotgun. And next thing you know, James White's done for the season, maybe done for his career, which is really sad for Patriots fans because I think we all know that and we all love Sweet Feet, right? Like think about,
right.
I just think back on some of the stuff that James White's meant to the organization from a fan standpoint. I mean, the Super Bowl victory, the comeback in Atlanta, scored 20 points in that game. I could argue, I know I said this on the first episode, Kevin Falk, my favorite Patriots player, arguably one of the greatest pass catching running backs. James White's right up there. when it comes to pass catching backs. But I'm going to go back to what you talked about a little bit in the game. First of all, listen, I know Patriots fans don't want to hear this. I certainly don't want to hear this. But if we don't start protecting Mac back there, we're going to be looking for, I mean, we may be re-signing Cam in the next few weeks because he's going to get killed. I mean, they're trying to get him in NFL shape. And now he's running for his life back there. Every still screenshot I see is Mac's face in distress. Crybaby face is what some people have called it. But he's getting killed back there. I mean, yeah.
The times he gets sacked, he's real slow getting up. I don't know if he's got some kind of nagging injury. I don't know what's going on, but he looks, and I think some things are starting to show. He's got happy feet right now. He's patting the ball now.
Who wouldn't?
Which I get, but that's a backslide, and you hope at this stage, 4 games in, he's starting to go, show improvement every week. So
listen. So I want to give courtesy to Greg Bedard, Boston Sports Journal. You talked about not being poorly coached, rather out-coached, but being poorly coached. He wrote a great article. If you haven't gone over there, go over to Boston Sports Journal, subscribe. It's the best Patriots coverage you're going to get. We say it every week. We'll keep saying it every week. But he writes a great article about how poorly coached the team is in general, which to your point is just, I mean, I can't remember, and I've watched the Patriots over 30 years now, from a little kid till now. And I can remember some teams in the 90s that were this poorly coached, but in the last 20 years, I haven't seen anything like this. And I don't understand, you got people on the comment section in Boston Sports Journal. They're talking about, I mean, does Mayo have what it takes? Is Belichick giving too much credence to his sons or too much, I mean, I believe Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. But our coordinators and the other coaches out there, we lose Scar. Now what happens? We got Brasillo in there. Our offensive line's a disaster. We got our defense, who you said, and I agree, they look better. They had some key stops in the game and kept the Patriots in the game. But I mean, you as a former coach, I mean, what do you say? I mean, do they have the assist? I mean, is that how bad the talent or brain drain has gone in the system?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not at practice every day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not in the meeting room, so I don't know how ultimately the sign of a great coach is how his players respond to him. And I don't know, they got all sorts of new guys on this team, which was a fear. I mean, that was something that no one really knew how they were going to mesh. And I still think they're going to get better as the season goes on.
I think so.
They're starting to run out of time a little bit. I just see some cracks that we haven't seen before. And ultimately, it comes down to the players fixing those.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Now these guys all know how to coach.
Sure. They're pro coaches.
Or they wouldn't be where they're at.
Right.
But I don't know. I just think some of the guys who are coming in are not used to the quote unquote Patriot way.
Right.
And of course, I'm not sure what that is anymore. But,
yeah. Can you even call it that now? I mean, look.
No, but I mean, they expect certain things. And some of these guys aren't used to that. And they're counting on young guys. They're counting on a rookie quarterback.
Right.
They're counting on, 2, 3 first year or rookie running backs now.
Right. Yeah, no, listen. Here's the thing. So I don't know, you alluded to the Patriot way. You talked about what the team is. You talked about, Belichick, and, somebody mentioned it again in the comments over Boston Sports Journal. They were talking about not seeing, I believe they were at the game and they didn't see Belichick speak much into his headset. There was no real grabbing the tablet or talking to the team on the sidelines, getting the whiteboard out, some of that stuff. And I don't know if it's because he's been doing this for so long or there's a lack of interest there. And I'm certainly not trying to start a controversy, but literally I don't understand. I mean, the coach's job is to put the player in the best position for success. And then the player has to make the play when they're in that position. They don't, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we're going to get to Jonnu Smith in a minute, because I don't know what was going on with Jonnu Smith. That was the worst performance I think I've ever seen at least in the last, I mean, maybe ever since I've watched the Patriots. You can take me back further if you remember one that's as bad. But just the fundamental things. I mean, the comfort in the system, being in the right spots, whether it's the Miami game, if we go back to the big pass completion on the last drive, they had a big 3rd and 7 on the last drive, the defense, the offensive line, they're not, nobody is in the right spot. I mean, doesn't that come down to preparation? But it starts in training camp and goes week to week.
It does. And you're making a good point about comfort in the program, so to speak. And these guys are new, a lot of them. So I don't know how much comfort there is there. Unfortunately, they're having to learn on the run. The job of the coaches is to put them in the right position.
Right.
Give them the opportunity to fix things. And I'm sure they're trying to do that. And I'm sure Belichick on Sunday was about as frustrated as anybody could be, standing there watching this. The thing is that Sunday, game day, in the middle of the game is not the time you're going to fix anything.
Well, no, of course not. Of course not.
You can go in at halftime. You got a 10-minute halftime. You can make an adjustment or two, but and at the end of the day, Mike, it's about Jimmy's and Joe's, and they better start making plays.
Well, so you're right. Here's the other thing, man. They're just like, you said it about Jimmy's and Joe's. I don't know what it is. And this is, again, I'm not an expert. I'm a fan. I watch the games every Sunday. We're not at the practices. All the stuff you said is exactly right. I'm getting real tired of every Sunday feeling like the other team is faster than the Patriots in every facet. So, and I'm done talking about special teams. They spend way too much money on special teams, in my opinion. And again, not an expert. It's an antiquated way to build a team. Less than 5% of your plays nowadays are in special teams. We talked about this last week. And on the defensive side of the ball, now they're missing, obviously, Gilmore. That's a big miss. He's hurt. He's arguably one of the best corners in the league. So that probably changes their scheme quite a bit. But for whatever reason, I watched that Saints defense pick apart our offense, and they're everywhere, and they get there in a hurry. And I watch our defense and some of our skill guys on the offensive side of the ball. Nobody feels like they're open. And if they are open, they're, cue the circus music with Jonnu Smith bumbling the ball all over the place, missing blocks. Everybody's missing blocks. But specifically on the defensive side of the ball, there's no speed. And I don't understand that. It feels like they're sludging around out there. I don't get it.
If I was to watch the Saints and break that down, I would say that their scheme offensively was better. Not that they were running by the Patriot defenders.
What about defense? I'm talking about the Saints defense. The
Patriots were playing a lot of zone.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were flying. They're real good in the back end. I mean, they are. But again, you have to look at the Patriots offensive scheme. The Saints played a lot of man coverage. They weren't afraid of the Patriot receivers, obviously.
Who would be?
But there were guys open, and there were guys open. Now, you got to get the ball to them. They got to make a play.
You got to have time. You got to have time to get the ball to them.
Correct. You got to have time, and I'm going to go one step further. And again, the play calling baffled me some. I get down. You get down in the red zone. You got a pretty good drive going, and you run two running plays to Bolden, who I like Bolden fine, but what you got to get in the end zone.
By the way, you run those two running plays after literally your quarterback has spread the defense out and taken them all the way down the field, and then you tighten the field and allow the speed to get there faster. McDaniels, another thumbs down for him this week. I don't know what he's doing. Listen, I know they're trying to go back to the basics and trying to probably make it easy on the kid, but at some point you got to you just protect him and let him think and let him dissect a defense and see what you have. And that's probably what they're going to have to do this week. Speaking of this week, enough of that nightmare. We gave Jonnu Smith, we said his name probably too much on the pod today because that was I'm just going to throw that and just a couple times for him, just one time there for Jonnu Smith, one more time actually, because that's how bad of a week it was. Hopefully he'll turn it around. Woof, man. Come on. We got to be better than that, man. But anyway, anything going on this week in Foxborough? Anything to talk about?
The Revolution are probably playing. I don't know.
What else? Is there some good restaurants up there or something? Yeah.
It's a big week,
Oh, it's a big week. All right. Big week.
With Brady coming back and Gronkowski coming back and AB coming back. And it's just, it's,
oh man. Oh,
and again, I said this before, I think the Patriots will play better this week. And, I think everybody, all of the talking heads are talking about how Brady wants to drop 50 on the Pats and they're going to score 100 points and this and that. I think at some point in time, pride takes over.
right.
I think these guys are pros too now.
Oh, I know.
And I think, I think the Patriots will come out. I know that they'll take care of some of the mistakes. You'll see some better play. Now, will that transform into a win? I don't know.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers are really good. And
yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad.
They got weapons everywhere. And I think Brady's coming in. Brady has a chip on his shoulder, obviously.
Sure.
We'll see what happens. I think the Patriots are looking at 1-3, and that could be disastrous at this point.
Yeah. So before we get too much into the game, because I kind of want to end on that, but I want to back up a little bit because obviously timing being perfect, and I'm sure they did this on purpose with this new book that Seth Wickersham's coming out with. Better to be feared. You looked at that, read anything about that? So I kind of want to talk through some of this stuff. I think this is big news. By the way, well done with, I think, the Revolution are playing. That's well done. That's well done. Well played.
I think they're in first place. Actually.
Well, maybe we're doing the podcast about the wrong New England team. So let's talk a little bit about this book. So there's some there's some fire quotes here and excerpts that have just dropped this week, and just right in the middle. This timing is just perfect, right? Clearly planned. So Wickersham wrote this book. I'm definitely going to pick this book up. I think it comes out October 12th. So it comes out in a couple weeks.
Right.
But it's really about kind of the inner workings of the franchise, right? So it's talking about some of the most secretive and controversial things that probably nobody knew about. And I'm just going to kind of walk through some of the highlights of some of the things that came out, and you just give me some of your thoughts on it. So we won't go in any particular order, but let's see here. So first thing to talk about, I think it's interesting that Wickersham said that Brady ultimately, and this is courtesy of ESPN.com, but Wickersham writes that Brady ultimately left New England not only because they refused to commit to him, Belichick and Kraft, not just Belichick, to play until he was 45, but he thought that Belichick believed he was close to the end, and then they wouldn't allow his input on the franchise, where something he was ultimately going to find in Tampa. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Belichick's MO all along has been to get rid of guys when he thought they were coming to the end of before they got to the end of their career,
right?
Where he could get something of value for them. And, do I think Brady's a different animal as far as that goes? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that there's a lot of things in this organization that are, with all the things that have gone on over the years, and every time they're in a big game, don't you know that something's coming out in the news about as perfect timing, right?
Right.
So of course they're talking about this book this week, and because it'll sell press, it'll sell everything, because
it's going to inflame the whole thing
because of the ongoing supposed feud between Brady and Belichick, right?
Yeah, all this is doing is dropping fuel on the fire. Okay. Listen, I think that from an outsider looking in, Belichick, it's his team. He's going to run it the way he wants to run it. I don't think he wanted Brady's input on stuff, and he realized that him and Brady together won 6 Super Bowls. The way that they were doing it worked. I mean, I could make the argument in 2017 he wanted Garoppolo to start. He would, he probably wanted to trade Brady. And I don't think Kraft wanted to do that. So, I think Belichick thought way before that he could probably do it his way. And I think Wickersham talks about it in the book is that I think both of them kind of wanted to see if there was a different way to win, specifically Brady looking and going, hey, maybe there's a different way that I can win without doing it the quote unquote antiquated way that Belichick wanted to do it. One other quote that I think, or another quote that I think's pretty funny is that the quote about Kraft being at the conference in Detroit, telling the people that he had to leave, some of the smartest people in the world that were at the conference to go meet with the biggest effing a-hole in his life. I mean. That's just crazy, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Belichick doesn't seem. I've never met him in person, so this is purely speculation, and I'm not going to get reckless on you here. But I mean, it doesn't see. I could understand. I mean, I kind of can probably see where Kraft is coming from there, right?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the owner and CEO of one of the most successful sports organizations in all of professional sports. And you're talking about a high-powered guy who's, I'm sure his ego is in Belichick. He's got a pretty good ego too.
Oh yeah.
So the two of them, I'm sure they bang heads all the time,
Yeah.
And fortunately it's worked for a long, long time.
Right.
And, at the end of the day, I'm sure Kraft had to kind of take sides. He's either going to side with his coach or he's going to side with Brady. And how that, and we know how that went.
Yeah.
So,
and internal conflict's okay. I mean, there's going to be, when you're running a high powered organization, there's going to be some internal conflict and some, and some of that can be healthy, by the way. You don't always like everybody you work with, right?
But the problem is that I see now is that the conflict is not internal anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the book now, see, this is what you're talking about the information of all of this going on this week.
That's all it is.
Now it's not. Now it's not internal anymore.
Right.
And so, but it's going to overshadow. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, it's a football game.
That's right.
I mean, right?
That's right.
And it's a football game involving the greatest quarterback of all time, probably the greatest coach of all time. I'd venture to say one of the greatest owners of all time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't read into it too much. I want to watch the game Sunday night and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I'm pulling for the pay.
Of course.
I got to be honest with you. I'm one of these guys. I'm not real happy with Brady leaving New England.
Well, you're really not happy with Gronk. You tell us that all the time.
That's a whole nother issue.
Well,
but anyway,
he drug. The problem I have with Gronk, and I'll get back to the story in a second. But the problem I have with Gronk is that he just, it feels vindictive, and he let him along, and he wasted so much cap money by not giving him a response, and then he retired, and then he comes back, and now you look at him, and he looks like he's 3 years out of college again. And it's like, oh, great, Gronk. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
And again, that, this whole thing is, you can spin it however you want to spin it. And we had a lot of fun with Brady for 20 years.
Tons of fun.
It hurts when he left. And, there's going to be a lot of open wounds when he comes back Sunday night.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he's going to get a rousing ovation from the crowd. I mean, they love Brady in New England. Of course. Which is, as a fan, that's kind of one of the reasons I was irritated with him when he left.
Right.
Because, but at the end of the day, they don't owe the fans anything.
No, and let's be clear, he already won a Super Bowl with another team. Yeah. So, and I brought it up last week when we were talking about the Edelman celebration. Cool celebration, by the way. Love Jules. But they're going to celebrate Brady this week. They said they're making it, there's going to be a surprise. I don't know. It'll be a halftime. It'll be before the game, whatever the case is, but which I think is kind of weird, by the way, that somebody's coming to play and you're going to celebrate. I don't know. The whole thing just seems kind of funny, but they're going to celebrate them. A couple more things on the story. We don't have to discuss it because it's being discussed all over the place, but the Goodell and Belichick meeting in an airplane hangar to discuss rule changes. That's weird. It just seems like real action movie like I don't even know what that is. They're clearly their relationship is closer than we thought, right? We thought they didn't get along. Clearly that's not the case. Let's see. The whole piece, by the way, it's to find this actually disgusting, but just how people think. And when it talked about Myra Kraft's funeral and it talked about the owners and Demore Smith, and they were there at the funeral and they're talking about rule changes and stuff. And he said, Demore Smith, I think his quote is saying, "I wanted to throw up." I mean, that's just, come on, guys. Like I just read that and was thinking, that's just, don't do that, man. The guy's wife just died. Who gives a crap? Yeah. Who gives a crap about rules? And you know what? The lockout can wait a couple of days when the guy's wife just passed away. So I read that. I thought that was interesting and disturbing at the same time. Some other points here as I have it pulled up. Let's see. Kraft did say he thought Bill was an idiot savant. That's a good thing, by the way. If you don't know what idiot savant is, it's somebody who's a genius. And let's see. I'm trying to think what else. The Bill O'Brien was trying to get fired from Houston because he thought he was going to replace Belichick. He was going to come back to New England and replace Belichick. I could probably speak for every Patriots fan in the world. I'm not going to speak for you though, because you're right here. I don't think anybody wants Bill O'Brien as their head coach. Am I right about that or wrong?
Ultimately, that's probably the case. Yes.
There's a lot of commenters on BSJ going, B.O.B. No, thanks. No, thanks. Let's see. What's some other stuff? Oh, I did think it was interesting too. When 2008 following Spygate, when they were at a coaches meeting and they had to break Mangini up from coming over and knocking Belichick's lights out when he disrespected his wife. Hey, Bill, F you, Mangini.
But again, this is the Belichick era. This is what's gone on
what he does, man.
In the Belichick era, and you can say what you want about Spygate, but Shanahan said Belichick's a genius. He wishes he'd have figured out how to do Spygate. Belichick just did it before everybody else.
Shanahan.
So, I mean, come on.
Shanahan.
And that's what this book is going to do. This book is going to, create more battle lines,
right.
Brady, Belichick, whatever.
That's what it does, man. That's what it does.
And I will say this, and I think the success of the Patriots has been Brady and Belichick and the other guys that have played there.
Absolutely.
And they both had a hand in it, because great players make great plays, but great coaches put those players in position to make plays. So from that standpoint, that's what that's all about.
No, you're right.
Brady leaving to go to Tampa, he has a lot of players around him. Well, again, and I said this before, it's Jimmy's and Joe's. If you got better players than the other team, you're going to beat them most of the time.
You're right.
And so that's what the deal is right now. Patriots aren't a great football team right now. I hate to say that because I'm the most loyal Patriot fan in the world, but I mean,
you're right. A couple other things here. We'll keep it safe for work. But Mike Martz, following the Super Bowl, said that he wanted to hang Belichick by a specific part of his body that would probably be fairly painful. I'll let you read that for yourself. But laughed when I saw that. And then a couple other things, just very, very interesting, was that, let's see, the Malcolm Butler. I'll end it on this, and then we'll kick over into kind of looking towards the game as we wrap up. But there was a lot of questions that were asked in that Super Bowl against the Eagles a few years back with Malcolm Butler and what happened there. And it sounds like it was a Patricia decision. They had argued in practice, and and essentially his lack of effort. And Butler was demoted before the game, and that was that. Any thoughts on that? I mean,
he's a defensive coordinator, and he puts the guys out there he thinks he wants to have out there, and as the head coach, you're going to probably support your assistant, I would imagine.
Of course.
And again, Mike, we don't know what went on behind the scenes.
I know. This is fans podcast, man.
I know. But we can speculate. I mean, something obviously happened.
Listen, I want to use this as a point as we kind of transition into the game. And it's what happened in the Super Bowl. And I remember as a fan watching the game thinking to myself, why is your best and by the way, let's be clear, their defense wasn't good that year. I mean, It wasn't good at all, right? Nick Foles, he looked like Joe Montana back there picking them apart. But the reality is I was so irritated in that Super Bowl because their best defensive player, best defensive back was on the bench, right? But to your point, we don't know what happened. But as I fast forward that to today, and I'm going to use this parallel because I talk about this all the time because I'm a born and bred Patriots fan first, and my wife, who's from Texas, is a born and bred Cowboys fan. And we watch both games every Sunday amongst other games. And it's not just the Cowboys, but it's the other teams that I see. But most teams, and I don't understand, and I'd love your perspective on it from a coach perspective, but the fan perspective also, is that the Cowboys, I look at this rookie, Micah Parsons, that the Cowboys have, and I look at these receivers that they have, and their best players are on the field all the time. And then I look at the Patriots, and it's like a rotating substitution. I don't know what it is, but it's literally like, can you not just play your best players? And from a fan's perspective, it is maddening when their best, and maybe it's because their players aren't that good. I don't know. I'm literally just speculating. But how come every other team, it seems, has their best player on the field at all times, but we don't?
Well,
what is that?
The only thing I can tell you is that it's the way they've done things for all these years, and they were successful, and they continue to do it. That would be because I agree with you. You want your best players playing. I mean,
like, why is Brandon Bolden in the game? Why is the rookie? Why is the kid that they brought? I can't remember his name. No disrespect to the guy. I just can't remember his name. The guy they brought up from the practice squad. What's he doing on the field? I guess Bentley was hurt, but the point is, you don't have. I mean, put your best players on the field. And by the way, the Bentley injury, nobody said he was injured. I think it's an NFL rule that you have to say somebody's injured when they're injured. Nobody said anything about Bentley.
I didn't know he was hurt either.
Well, he may not have been hurt. That's the point. That's what we think, that he's hurt. But they sometimes it's almost like they try to get cute and outsmart people. And it's not work. It maybe worked in the past, but right now in today's NFL, the best teams have their best players on the field.
Oh, they do.
And I don't understand it. So, all right. So speaking of Sunday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time, Foxborough, Bucks at Patriots. Tom Gronkageddon, whatever you want to call it. Brady's back. The GOAT comes back to town, and you better have your best players on the field on Sunday, because I can tell you this: the Bucks are going to have their best players on the field, and at least from what I've seen, the Bucks' best players are better than our best players. I mean, Pops, listen, I told Andrew, he's not on today, but I told him the other day, we were talking on Monday morning. And I said, look, man, it's time to spread this offense out. It's time to let Mac make some checks at the line, possibly call a few plays. And if you're going to beat the Bucks, first of all, first things first, you're not going to run on them. Don't even try to run on them, because they're the best run defense in the NFL. Nobody runs on the Bucks. Don't tighten them up. We saw how that worked with the Saints. It's going to be even worse with the Bucks. We're going to have to spread them out. We're going to have to make them use their defensive speed, but also put them further apart on the field on offense to our advantage. So that's my thing, is spread them out and throw on them, because that's the only way I see this thing being even competitive.
Well, what I've seen from the Bucks so far is that they're weak. They're weak in their secondary is their weak point. And other teams have, the Cowboys probably should have beaten them.
Oh, they absolutely should have beaten them.
Okay. The Rams picked them apart in the secondary.
Oh, they got crushed. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just saying that. Now, the front seven, yeah, they're pretty good. And they're going to tee off, and
unless the line gets better. I mean, they better solidify. But you think they're going to solidify the line this week?
I think if Trent Brown comes, comes back this week, that makes a big difference. Okay.
It'd be huge.
And I think at some point in time, they're going to have to take the top off a little bit. I mean, they tried to take it off a little bit on Sunday, and you saw what happened.
It was a little over.
Jones made some poor, but even early, he threw a ball that should have been intercepted in the end zone.
Right.
I mean, and again, he's going to make mistakes. So if you open it up, just be ready. You know, every time he makes a bad throw or if there's a mistake, everybody's going to go crazy.
Right.
The only the key mistake he made on Sunday was he tried to throw a ball when he was getting sacked.
Right.
And that wound up getting intercepted. Well, you know, just don't do that.
Yeah, and the pick six wasn't his fault, obviously. It was a circus play where Smith threw the ball up in the air.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Smith would play that badly again. I'm just going to say
No. I don't think so either. If he does,
I mean, he owned it. So he knows, he understands, which of course he better understand.
He's the highest paid player on the offense. I mean,
I think they'll play okay. I think they'll play better. I think, Belichick's got a big job this week in keeping his players focused on the game, on the job at hand,
right,
and not getting caught up in all of this Brady, the GOAT coming back,
right?
Because a lot of these guys, these new guys, they never played with Brady, so
that's right.
I mean, and the flip side of that, from a mental standpoint, is these guys could be like, you know what, I'm tired of hearing about this Brady thing. Let's go. I mean, we'll see.
We'll
see what happens.
So let's look at this. So the game started 5.5 point spread, which, by the way, I should have taken a loan out on my house or something and put 5.5. I mean, if you think on paper what's going to happen is going to happen, 5.5 seems like nothing.
What is it now?
It's now moved to 7. So it's already moved 1.5. So it's a 7-point spread.
That's a big slide.
Yep. So it's already moved. And then the total is 49. So over under total of 49. I mean, listen, I think if the Patriots can spread them out, if they can move the ball, I mean, their red zone offense has been bad. Their line has been bad. Dad, listen, I agree with you. I think you're going to see a better Patriots team, but I got to be honest with you. That is completely a hunch. Like, because I know, I don't think there's anything that tells me that on what I've seen for the past 3 weeks. There's nothing that shows me that they're going to get better. It's just all right. They're going to be prepared for a big game.
The reason I say that is because I'm assuming, and of course, you know how that goes, but I'm assuming that as pros, the pride factor at some point is going to play into this.
Right.
And, and the coaching staff is going to be getting in their butt saying, hey,
right,
this and that. And hopefully that will turn things around. The Bucks, of course, 49.5 is they're counting on the Bucks scoring
49.
Because I don't see the Patriots holding up their end.
Well,
as an over.
If you think it's going to go over, my guess would be you think the Bucks cover because they're going to win. They're going to dominate, right?
Yeah. So,
I think what you're going to see, if you see the Patriots hold it close, you're going to see them spread the Bucks out. And by the way, by spreading them out, it's what we've seen with Brady before, where you spread them out and you're surgical down the field, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards.
That's 5,
right. Slowly, because here's the thing. If you do that, you keep 12 off the field, first of all, and that offense off the field. And then let's be real. They run, and Arian said it today, they run the same passing attack that Brady's run in New England for 20 years. So if anybody knows how to stop it, it's Belichick.
Well, and the other way you stop it is you get pressure up the middle on Brady.
That's how you do it.
I don't know that they can do that.
I mean, who's going to do it? That's the question.
I mean, 99 about decapitated Brady on Sunday a couple of times, and we don't have 99.
No, so I didn't know if he was going to make it to this week based on what I saw.
I'm just saying, you make it so he can't step up. That's how everybody beats him when they beat him.
Right.
So and I thought the pass pressure was pretty good. I mean, on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, you got to get Brady.
One of the touchdowns going back a little bit, Winston threw a ball up in the air that never should have got to the end. Never should have got there.
I can't believe Jones let him catch that ball.
So so let's go this week, see what happens. And I think that they'll play better. Will the result be will the result be different? I don't know. But I think they're gonna play better.
Yeah, I think so. I think the recipe is, like I said, short surgical passes, spread them out. Find a way to get Brady off the spot and uncomfortable up the middle of the line, which I don't know if it can happen. By the way, the Bucs offensive line is also really, really good. So we'll see. We don't have Aaron Donald like the Rams do, which made him uncomfortable, like you said last week. And like you said, we'll see what happens. I am hopeful. I'm with you. And I really hope that it's a good game. I hope the Mac can handle the pressure. And we'll see what happens. I want to hit a couple. I pulled some props up here, Dad, some player props. I want to go kind of quick hitters and see what you think. You just give me your over-unders here on some of these things. You let me know what you think here. So Tom Brady, over-under 304.5 passing yards, 304.5 passing yards, over-under.
Under.
Okay. 304 passing yards.
You know why I say that?
Why?
Have you seen the Pats run defense lately?
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're going to get leverage and you're going to go under on the passing yards and over on the rushing yards. Is that right?
Could be.
All right. Look at that. Look at that.
Although I will say this, the Bucs are last in the league in rushing the football.
That's true. They're not very good. All right, here we go.
I mean,
Brady's going to break the all-time passing record yardage at Foxborough, which just sucks, frankly. Well, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I mean, 20 years of it was in Foxborough, so maybe it's cool. What quarter is he going to do it in? I think he's got 68 yards. What is it? No, 60. Yeah, I think he's got to get 68 and a half yards or something like that to break it. I could be wrong on that, but it says first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth. First quarter is minus 240. Second quarter is plus 200. Third plus 2,000. Fourth plus 3,500. And I don't think it's many yards. I got to look it up, but I mean, clearly first quarter is when they say he's going to break it. It's under 100 yards. Now I got to go first quarter. Yeah, I got to. Yeah,
first quarter.
All right, here we go.
It could come on one play.
Could probably do Antonio Brown down the sidelines or Mike Evans. All right.
Anyway,
Rob Gronkowski, your favorite, over under 3.5 receptions.
Over.
If he plays.
Right, if he plays.
If he plays, definitely over. Mike Evans, over 56.5 receiving yards. I think it's over. Who's guarding Mike Evans? Seriously.
Well, I don't know about that. The only reason I would say it might not happen is because they got so many other guys that he might throw to.
That's true. He spread it around. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under.
Go under with Evans. I actually think they're gonna try to take away Godwin. They're going to double Godwin and single up Evans. I think Evans is going to have a pretty big game. But I could be, I don't know. I could be totally wrong. All right. So let's predict the game. We forgot to predict last week, which I'm glad we didn't because we probably had all been very wrong. What's your prediction? We got Bucs -7, 49's the total. What's your prediction?
31, Bucs 31, Patriots 17.
All right. So under just by a little bit, and the Bucs cover, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm such a homer. I totally want to pick the Pats to win, man. I totally want to because it's all in here. It's all in
I get it.
Or in my heart, but I don't see a road. And I hope you and I are dead wrong and we come back next week and a miracle happened in Foxborough, but I don't see it, man. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think I think it's going to be like 07 Brady coming in and just throwing all over this team. I mean, I could see this thing being 45-14 when it's all said and done. I mean, just an absolute implosion, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it's 27-24 Pats win, but I'm going to go with the Bucs blow them out. And that's that. We're going to sign Jamie Collins this week, Dad. Last question as we get out of here. What did you say the other day when I asked you that question?
Why? I don't know. I mean, we've had them twice.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. Jamie, we're good. We're good. Buddy.
The only thing I'm going to say about this week being different than last is I really expected the Patriots to win last week, beat the Saints.
Yeah.
So my disappointment was really heavy after the game.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way this week.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to. If they win, it's awesome. Right. But expectation, as you talked about and your brother talked about many times,
it's different.
Expectations have to change.
It's totally
they
different.
have changed.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens.
It'll be fun. Hey, listen, enjoy it. If you're going to the game, you're paying a pretty penny, so it sounds.
Yep.
The prices are exorbitant. But I'll be watching from home. Dad, I know you'll be watching from home. Andrew will also. And it's going to be one way or another. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be fun. Just listen. I watched the top 10 Brady Patriots moment. It was like 13 minutes the other day, and it was awesome just to watch him and what he did when he was there for 20 years. So really, I'm going to quote Andrew here, just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey this week and all the coverage. And I'm sure there'll be some fun stuff pregame, and the game's going to be, no matter what happens to your point, the expectations are different. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be really fun to see what happens. And it'll be a lot of fun to debate it next week, right? Talk about it next week.
That's it. That's right.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, hey, we're going to get out of here. This has been episode 3, Pat's Tailgate Party Podcast. Big week. Enjoy Sunday Night Football. Bucks, Brady returns. Bucks at Patriots. If you're going to the game, be safe, have fun, and we'll see you next week for episode 4.
Go Pats.